And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Macomb High School as we are here for the TSSR Game Time Live presented by MDH pregame show. We're in the parking lot. Chris Frankhauser, I'm Dwayne Hulett. We have Tim Biagini waiting in the wings to come on. Kurt Myers is going to be here. Kelly Sears is going to be here. If you're in the parking lot, you can come over and hang out with us as well, as people are already funneling in for a 7 p.m. kickoff, Chris, in a game that is perhaps is most highly anticipated across the state of any of the playoff games, I think.
It is, and I know it's the only 4A game on the schedule tonight. So, Macomb, Quincy, Notre Dame, it doesn't get much better than that.
Now, there's so much history between these two teams. I've been covering sports for a long time. This is the first time that I've seen that I've been to a Saturday night playoff game. You did the last one that anybody remembers, and it was here at Macomb.
And it was the only East Richland game. It's hard for me to say athletic director Horl because he was Coach Horl back then. Was talking about that, I know, last Saturday night in the Prairie preview show, and it was electric around here. We, like he said, Western was home. Larry Derry blasting the path. He was doing the Western game that day. We were over on, I think, LMD that night. Sent it to us at halftime. The snow, that 98 squad was fun. Made all the trips to IHSA, home, Mount Carmel, down to Nashville. There's nothing like it, and there's nothing like I said earlier, Quincy, Notre Dame, Macomb. Throw records out the window. It's always going to be a good battle.
Yeah, and I think that this season kind of has that feel back, right? I mean, Macomb football kind of had dwindled in popularity a little bit through the years. They'd struggled a little bit. I think this season has brought that love affair with Macomb and football back.
Yeah, when we could see that coming, they in the playoffs last year. The COVID season, we got to see Macomb with Bushnell-West Prairie a couple of times, and even a couple of years ago, you could see things starting to maybe make a turn the corner for the Bomber program, and here we are now at 9-0. Hopefully, with a win tonight, set a new school record with a 10th win and on to round 2, and a chance to get revenge against Murfreesboro next week.
It's funny that you say school record and 10 wins when a team goes to the semifinals, right?
That 98 squad lost their first 3 games and then rolled off 6 straight to get in and then ran all the way to the Final Four.
Yeah, it's just crazy that the differences between the teams, that have went in long runs. This team, I feel like, this game really is tale of two different teams, right, of how they got here. Everybody's talked about how hard and how tough the QND schedule was,
right,
but how easy the Macomb schedule was, and maybe that's true. But the cool thing is it starts 0-0 here, right? Everybody has no record, and we can talk all day long about how the two schools got here. Yeah, QND played some big schools, and they lost to some undefeated schools and some one-loss schools, and I get that. Macomb played 3 playoff teams, 2 others that were playing the last week of the year for a playoff spot. It's not like they didn't play anybody. But the thing for Macomb that gets me is the fact that they never let a single team all year feel like they had a chance to win.
No, and you look at the scoring average, Swain, they're scoring almost 44 a game and giving up just under 10 points a game through 9 games. That's a huge swing. Defensively, that's one of the better teams, top 3 or 4 teams in all of 4A. And offensively, just in a quick glance, that's in the top 5 or so there as well on both sides of the ball. So I'm not being able to see Macomb play this year. I mean, I watched some of the games and stuff when we were doing Bushnell games on Friday night. I'm really anxious to see this Macomb squad take the field tonight and see both the offense and the defense, because they have been stout on both sides of the ball all year round.
Well, we're going to take our first break. We're going to come back. Justice Keane, I think, is within earshot. He's going to come on for about 2 or 3 minutes before he has to do his broadcast on Bomber Sportnet, and then we'll be back with Tim Biagini after Justice comes along. We'll take our first break. Thanks for joining us on the IHSA Class 4A playoff round number 1 pregame show for the Macomb High Bombers and Quincy Notre Dame Raiders. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
I went through MDH when we were trying to get pregnant. We were struggling the first year, and then when we got pregnant, I stayed at MDH and through labor and now for pediatrics. My experience was nothing short of phenomenal. I was met with amazing staff members who helped me through concerns that I had when she was first born, helping me learn how to be a new mom. It was really reassuring and comforting knowing that I had so much support and kindness around me. My entire pregnancy at MDH was amazing.
At Western Illinois University, Leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there is limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a Leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
And welcome back here to Macomb High School, and Justice Keane is alongside. Justice, I was giving you a hard time earlier. You've been all over town today.
I have.
The biggest game of the year for the Bombers, and you were in Good Hope eating pancakes this morning. You're a man of the people.
I try to be every now and then. It was a busy day. Started the morning doing a pancake breakfast thing with some community leaders, and it was good doing that. We had a great crowd, and that was fun. But man, we're at the and then it was a little bit of a slow wait until you get to about that 3 o'clock hour. But now it's time for the exciting part, and we get to see these Bombers in action tonight.
You know, I've been here a long time. I've been setting up, and you were talking to me, and while we were setting up, and it seemed like we were waiting, and all of a sudden it just boom! It was
here
4, and then it's 5:30 that fast, right? And people are rolling in. We're still an hour and 20 minutes before game time, and I bet there's 300 people have walked by already.
Oh, absolutely. And I was spending some time with down at tailgate, and I think there's about 12 cars on the far side of this parking lot tailgating. Talking to our superintendent and principal, Dr. Toomey and Mr. Sullivan, and we were talking about how special today is, and that tonight are nights that you remember for a long time, and that you'll remember beyond your high school days, and can't tell you how special this is to have a home playoff game in town, and you get to come out here, you get to tailgate. We're doing the show here in the parking lot, which is great, and it's going to be a great night here.
Well, you got Bomber Sportnet doing audio tonight with Kelly Sears, who's helped us a few times. He's done basketball. Kelly is just a cool dude to have on, isn't he?
He is, and he adds such a great element to the broadcast. We'll keep the delay on for a few extra seconds tonight for sure.
The question is do you have to delay when he starts talking about racing?
No.
You can let him talk about racing.
I can let him talk about racing.
Because I'm just fair warning you that's going to happen, whether you want it to or not. So, real quick, what's this game look like to you?
Well, I think that people, think that, you look at records and 5-4 versus 9-0, and, on paper, you're going to think, man, that might be a blowout. But I think this is going to be one of the best matchups of the year, and this is going to be one of the best matchups in the area. I mean, you're talking about a renewed rivalry between two teams that used to face each other every season in the old 3-team West Central Conference with West Hancock, us, and QND. And the Bombers have not faced QND since 2019, and they struggled against them. But, I mean, you look at this matchup tonight, this is going to be one of the best games in the area, and I really, really feel like it's going to be a tight one down the stretch.
I've told people that I think Macomb can win this game. A lot of people think because of Macomb's schedule, they aren't prepared to play a team like QND. But I tell you what, QND brings a lot to the table, don't get me wrong, but Macomb brings a lot to the table that people don't necessarily notice because they've not played very much.
Absolutely. And, I think people downgrade the schedule so much this year, but, I mean, this is a legit team. This is a team that's not going to go away. This is a team that is controlling the offensive side of the ball so well. We've seen great defense from Ethan Ladd and so many other kids on the defensive side of the ball. And then you look at Jack Duncan at QB, and, you talk about somebody who knows the field so well, knows what they have to do on offense, and, the Bombers are ready for tonight.
The key, I think, for the Bombers, though, is going to be the defense, because QND is going to bring a rushing attack that they have not seen. And that's all. I mean, there's no lying about that. You can't avoid that. They're going to bring something to the table that they haven't seen this year. But the defense might be the most underrated part of this Bombers team.
It is, and I think that's one of the things that this team is underestimated on. Jack Duncan, obviously the Bombers are known for the offensive side of the ball, but I mean, this team has so many weapons on the defensive side of things. I mean, you look at that line, and guys like James Meredith come to mind. Ethan Lyon again, and this Bomber defensive squad, I think it's one of the most underrated defenses in the area, simply because it's quiet, but it's it's deadly. It's going to stop you, and we've seen teams, they are not able to get down the field, and they are successful because of that defensive side of the ball.
I would agree 100%. And QND fans, Macomb cheerleaders, Macomb pom-pom or whatever they call dance squad, all that stuff coming in. And
there's Mr. McDowell. He's in the house tonight. Good guy right there.
And Mr. McDowell from QND, we might add, is in the house. So, I mean, this is a rivalry that should be a ton of fun on both sides, really.
It really should. And, I mean, we talk about, local teams playing local teams playing each other, and this is going to be one of the most exciting games, I think, in a long time. And, I mean, you look at this parking lot, it's full, and it's only 5:42 right now. I mean, fans have been on there, just waiting for this all week. The student section playing in the tailgate all week, getting that thing put together. And then, you get to see a great crowd tonight, and this stadium's going to be rocking about 7 o'clock.
Well, I'm not going to keep you much longer, but I'm surprised you haven't caught on fire, because Frankhauser's got his Iowa mug sitting right there beside you. I didn't realize that until we were here. Yeah, look at it's and if anybody knows Justice, he is an Illinois guy through and through, and I'm really surprised you didn't start smoking or something.
Man,
like
I didn't even notice it when I sat down. I'm disappointed. You'll notice you can't see the pants, but the navy blue pants. There's always some type of Illini colors incorporated into the outfit every so often, and. No, big Illinois guy, and football team, they look like they were getting ready to pick up another win. Obviously, the Bielema era going really well, and then my guy Underwood doing a phenomenal job. They played Quincy University last night and got a win, but it's cool to see. It's cool to see the NCAA allow teams to do those exhibition games, and it's good for a team like QU to be able to have that experience of playing in that type of environment and being able to travel and do those type of things.
That's absolutely right. Well, Justice, good luck tonight. I know you've got to get up there and get to go, and you start at 6:30.
6:30, yep.
So if folks at home, you can listen to me talk for our game if you want to, or you could put our game on the screen and put Justice on the
either way
on I guess Facebook, right?
Yep.
Like on your phone or whatever, however you want to get it. You could get the audio for Justice if you don't want to listen to me, because I get tired of listening to me sometimes. I'm not going to lie. So we'll be back. Justice, thank you very much. Hopefully we can continue to work together some. It's been a blast.
It's been fun.
All right. We'll be back in just a couple minutes with Tim Biagini on the pregame show live from Macomb High School in just a couple minutes.
Well, I've always had an interest in the medical field, and then growing up, I actually went through physical therapy myself for an injury, and that got me back to playing my sports and the activities that I loved. So seeing that firsthand, I got to see how much physical therapy could really benefit others.
I couldn't ask for a better agent, for a better company in a disaster where you have no idea where to start.
I learned that there's not a given in life. It takes a team. There's people that are going to watch out for us and make care.
It's been pretty stressful. Once we saw Lori and got our plan, it's
like a huge weight lifted.
MTC Communications is building a high-speed fiber network in our community, and we're putting priority on the areas with the greatest interest. That means we need your input to let us know you want us to build fiber in your area first. Experience the speed and convenience of fiber internet by visiting our special website and registering. Let us know you want fiber internet today and make your voice heard.
I guess none of that went across. I forgot to turn that up. See, here, dude, folks, what we're doing here is I'm a little out of my comfort zone. Normally we can leave our board turned up, but we've got a audio speaker out so everybody in the stands or wherever can hear us, so I forgot to turn it down. That's why there was no audio there. I forgot to turn it back up. we're alongside. We've been talking about the class of 1998 and the run that the football team made in 1998, and a guy that knows a little bit about it, like I was saying, sitting beside me, Tim Biagini. And Tim, you had I guess you could say a front row seat for that, didn't you?
Yes, I sure did. And it was a great run. It was a lot of fun. Started out the year a little rough, but we came back, and it was do or die every week for a long time.
So, that's one of the things these kids from Macomb this year don't have that feeling, right? They don't have that do or die feeling. Now they do, right? Now it matters.
Exactly.
When you're running ahead of everybody like they have, do you feel like that helped you going into the postseason, or do you think that's a disadvantage for them coming into this year?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a disadvantage for them. I wouldn't speak. Every team is different. Our team was our coaches switched after we lost the first 3 games. Coach Sears and Coach Horl with offense and defense. And the thing about our team was we had a sense of urgency from a long time. And it's 365 days. I mean, we're in the weight room. We're working out all the time and doing drills and everything. And so we didn't want that to just be, I don't want to say for nothing, but we wanted to go. And we knew we had the talent. We knew we had the right guys in the right places. We just had to make it happen. And those first 3 games, were rough. I think it was Canton, Keokuk, and maybe Rock Ridge, I think. I don't remember. But all really good teams.
Right.
And you have to, face adversity, learn from your mistakes. But this team, they're doing awesome, but I wouldn't call it a disadvantage. I think the question for this team really is, they're so good. Okay, how do you handle adversity? When you get down 10 points, okay, that's going to be a new feeling for them. How do you respond to that? And I think, and that's what at some point, hopefully they don't ever find out, but if they ever do, we'll see what kind of team they are.
Well, Chris was in the booth for your 98 night game for
yes,
the playoffs
right.
Back in the day. Chris, I have never been to one. I didn't cover the Bombers. I mean, I worked at the Journal back then, but I didn't cover the Bombers back then. What's this? How is it different for a broadcaster or anybody else tonight compared to what it was on a normal night?
I don't know that there's a whole lot of difference. I mean, it's the playoffs. I mean, you're going to be amped up, no matter what. Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. I don't know that it really matters much, but I'm just excited to be back here. I mean, like I said, this is the only game on the schedule in 4A tonight, is this one right here. And like I said earlier, Quincy, Notre Dame, Macomb, throw the records out. I mean, everybody's starting 0-0 right now. It doesn't matter. I think this is going to shape up to be a really entertaining game tonight.
Did playing on Saturday night change anything for you guys? I mean, it adds a day to your week and it's stuff like that, but did it change anything for you?
It changed things in so much as I remember Saturday, it's different because you're used to, growing up in Macomb, you're used to going to like WIU games on Saturday. And then it's Saturday morning and you're like, oh, I have a game today. So it does, from a player's perspective, I thought it felt just a little different, but at the same time, it was like a good different. It's just another day that excitement can build. Another day that you can maybe watch just a little bit more film. So I liked it personally. It just got you more amped up.
So as the playoff run goes, you get more and more people, but this is, I have a feeling that this game tonight is going to be more like a second round or maybe a quarterfinal round feel because of the people. What does that do for you, or as you guys went along and the crowds got bigger and bigger, what did that do for you as a player?
Well, I think it's like anything in life. I mean, it gets you that much more amped up, and you focus that much harder. You play the games, and I couldn't agree with you more that the records are out. I mean, if you go purely by records, I mean, IHSA is beating us, and Olney and Mount Carmel, like these teams they were awesome on paper, right? Well, but no, you play the games because it's on the field where the decisions are made, where people actually will come through or not. So all in all, it's just it just builds and it gets more and more exciting. I think that I can still remember looking out and seeing like 2 or 3 rows of people around the fence when the fence was closer, and and you were like, oh wow, there's like more people here. but when you're warming up, at least for me, I didn't really pay attention to it. It didn't affect me, and I don't think it affected our team. Hello, sure. There he goes. Sheriff Pettigrew.
And you're his hero, apparently.
Yeah, right.
Did you
Yeah,
fix
he's
his teeth or something?
So he's a good guy. So
sorry, Nick, I couldn't resist.
So, but anyway, no, for me, it was just it got more and more exciting, and I loved the more people, the better. You know, all the bells and people screaming. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Well, you know, it's one of those deals tonight where there's going to be people here that haven't been here all year. There's going to be people here that haven't been here in 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. But I think it all still comes down to football, right?
Absolutely.
And you had a really good offensive and defensive line back then.
Yes.
I feel like that's probably going to be the key again tonight, right?
Absolutely. It always starts, as they say, in the trenches. And the O and D lines, they're just absolutely crucial. You know, there's going to be changes made, and I can tell you, well, like I heard someone talk about Nashville. I mean, I remember we score, we do, and then I get down at the line, and like the defensive front is totally changed. I mean, and again, this is a team you've never seen before.
Right.
So you don't. The playoffs are different in that, where you'll come out one series. You know, Jack may come out, and him and Tanner have talked about have talked about whatever front, whatever, and then he may come out and be like, "This is totally. I've never seen this." And that's that's what makes the playoffs so exciting, right? Is how do you adapt? How do you change? But it's so much fun. It's exhilarating. It's great. These kids have earned it. They've worked their what's off for a whole year for this night. This is their time. You know, it's as in football, as we say, it's your house. You know, you stand tall, and the biggest thing is have fun, enjoy it. It's a lifelong memory.
Well, Tim, thanks for coming and talking to us. Sure. Hopefully you got your seat saved up there somewhere.
Yes, my mother-in-law and wife and we've got our seats secured.
It's filling up already.
Oh, no.
So I talked to Becky Quisenberry, and she said she was out here at noon or something like that, setting seats down. So I feel like I'm kind of at a racetrack. That's what they do at the races. You know, they go up in the bleachers and mark their seats, and they've been doing that since before noon here today.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know that several people in the community, parents, teachers, putting up signs, and that's another thing that's cool about the playoffs is that the regular season's over, but you still are seeing your Bomber signs around town, and people are still talking. So it's just a great thing for the community. It's a great thing to build the program. I'm proud and happy to be, a Bomber, and proud of now my family, the Horls. I mean, you're building something, and you build on this. This is great for the high school, great for the community.
All right, we'll be back here on the pregame show live from Macomb High School. Macomb and QND are just about an hour away. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
At Western Illinois University, Leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there's limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a Leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
I went through MDH when we were trying to get pregnant. We were struggling the first year, and then when we got pregnant, I stayed at MDH and through labor and now for pediatrics. My experience was nothing short of phenomenal. I was met with amazing staff members who helped me through concerns that I had when she was first born, helping me learn how to be a new mom. It was really reassuring.
Well, I've always had an interest in the medical field, and then growing up, I actually went through physical therapy myself for an injury, and that got me back to playing my sports and the activities that I loved. So seeing that firsthand, I got to see how much physical therapy could really benefit others.
MTC Communications is building a high-speed fiber network in our community, and we're putting priority on the areas with the greatest interest. That means we need your input to let us know you want us to build fiber in your area first. Experience the speed and convenience of fiber internet by visiting our special website and registering. Let us know you want fiber internet today, and make your voice heard.
At Western Illinois University, Leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there's limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a Leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
All right, we're here pregame, and it's 3:30 or so for tonight's big Class 4A IHSA playoff with Coach Tanner Horl from Macomb Bombers. Boy, the crowd's already coming in. It's a big game for the Bombers.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's going to be a great atmosphere tonight. Quincy Notre Dame's going to bring a big crowd, and our crowd's already getting started with some tailgating, so it should be a fun one.
There's some bags going on over there, loosening the arm up to get ready to start clapping a little later. They bring something more to the table, I think, than anybody you guys have seen this year. What have you talked to the kids about this week?
Yeah, they're bigger up front than we've seen all year, and their backs run really hard. So defensively, it's just running to the football, getting as many hats on the ball as possible, and then tackling them low. Defensively, their linebackers are really good. So we got to move the defensive line and then get to those backers and hopefully take care of the rest.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've said all year that you guys are kind of underappreciated because everybody thinks because of who you played that you're not as good as you look. You guys kind of feel like you have something to prove tonight?
Yeah, but we talk about that's just outside noise. Let's worry about us. We can't control what other people say, and it doesn't really matter to us. So our goal is to win tonight, and go 1-0.
Doesn't matter how you win either, right? I mean, as long as once you're at this point in the season, right, no matter how it happens, you just need to figure out a way to win.
Yeah, we'll take an 8-7 win or a 45-43 win. Does not matter to us as long as we're moving on next week.
As you look at this game tonight, obviously you have to score points. But, I have had coaches in the past that said if you keep the other team from scoring, you don't have to score very many. What's going to be the key for the Bombers tonight?
I think the number one thing for defense is stopping the football. Stopping the run. They have a really good running back, and they have a couple that they can rotate in there. And our goal is to stop the run and make them throw. And offensively, it's taking care of the ball. Their defense causes a lot of turnovers, and they turn those into points. So if we can take care of the football and then stop the run, I think we'll be all right.
Haven't had school for a couple days. I'm sure you stayed in contact with the kids. How's that been leading into tonight's game?
We had a really good week of practice. I don't think parent-teacher conferences and the days off mess with us at all. Our guys have been focused. Is kind of what we've been looking forward to for the last couple weeks anyway. So it was really easy to keep their attention this week.
Coach Cannell has a heritage in his coaching lineage as well, just kind of like you do. You guys have played against each other. You know each other well. It's going to be pretty cool to see him on the other sideline tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Not very often that you get to go against ex-NFL players, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, he's going to be he's coaching a hard-nosed football team just like he played, so we got to be ready to go.
All right, Coach, good luck tonight. We will hopefully talk to you after a win up in the booth tonight.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I chose the MDH OBGYN group because I've heard wonderful things about Dr. Smith. And upon entering the office, I really got along with everybody and got a warm feeling. The staff is warm and inviting and welcoming. It's a small community, so it's a really nice hospital to have here in the rural area. I continue to choose MDH because of the relationships I have. I really enjoy everybody here.
And welcome back here to Macomb High School. As Noah, we're going to get Noah's phone up here so we can get him on YouTube. Hopefully, I don't know how to get into your phone.
BR549.
BR549 is that the password? Get me into your phone and we'll get it figured out. We got Kelly Sears on the show now. As Noah Hornbaker is here. Get me. There we go. That's your pictures. We don't want your pictures.
That's my daughter. Bought her a car today.
You bought her a car today?
2020.
I don't know how. Do you know how to use an iPhone? Here, we'll get it figured out when we come back. When we take another break. How's that sound? So Kelly Sears, you are here. You thought about going to a Tom. You can't see Kelly for Noah in the camera right now, but there, Noah, you're better looking than Kelly anyway. It's okay. It was your good side. You're right, Kelly. You were part of the last night playoff game here at Macomb.
Probably all of them.
Yeah,
every one of them.
This is the first one I've ever covered actually, so it's a lot of fun for me to be here on a Saturday night. It's a kind of a cool feel.
The biggest thing is and anybody that played for me or coached against me or whatever knows that I was a Friday night guy. I wanted to play on Friday night. I wanted our routines to be the same. I didn't want anything to be different. But, Saturday night, it's not much different.
Well, we were regaling with your quarterback back in '98 on that interesting run, and talking about doing that Olney East Richland game here on that snowy night, and then Mount Carmel the next week. And this has kind of got to me a feel of hopefully something similar to what we did in '98.
I would probably say yes, and but the only difference is those were further down the line. This is opening night,
right.
and QND game seems like opening game of the year.
Right.
For 15, 16, 17 years, whatever
Right.
it was, we played QND on opening night,
Right.
and then I think it was 2012. We played them week 9. And we played at Hanson Field, and we beat them. And then we turned around and we drew them first round in the playoffs, and we beat them here at home.
Right. Well, and, talking some differences, you guys, Tim was talking about 0-3 start, and then you make your run. This team has not really been tested thus far. I know that was something Tim was talking about. It's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully they don't get in a position where they're going to be down a couple of scores and how they react, because they basically put the gas down on everybody the Bombers have played this year.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and and that's something that I had one of the coaches on the team was talking to me, and the biggest thing is he's like, boy, everybody in town saying we don't play anybody, we haven't played teams and stuff, and I said, hey. You didn't make the schedule.
Yep.
You just keep your nose down. You keep coaching your kids and doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And let everything lie where they're going to lie. And it's just one of those things. And when you play up, we'll take QND for instance.
Right.
Their losses have been to Normal West. They've been to Quincy High.
Chicago Hope was a 1A school, but they're rolling through everybody.
Yeah, they beat somebody 60-something to nothing.
Right.
And sometimes, I saw Bloomington Central Catholic got beat, and they're in 2A.
Right.
Well, we come close to playing Bloomington Central Catholic in 4A one year.
Yep.
So and I saw something, on the internet where somebody says, I wish the IHSA would be cut and dried. And I get that, but the IHSA has always been a floater. Go back to when basketball was A
and double A.
Yep. 750 below, 750 above. Well, you're going to stay home for the first 3 weeks of school, and you're going to stay home for the first 3 weeks of school, so we can be at 648.
Right.
And then after the cutoff, boom, you'll be
Right.
coming to school. And do schools do that? You bet they do. And, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, but I think the floating keeps that out. And the other thing is with the parochial schools.
Right.
It's a if you haven't been to the playoffs, you get a drop down, that type of thing.
Right.
And, so many people say through the years that they should have their own class and this and that. But you know what? If anybody that ever coached against me or played for me knows that I was the type of guy that I'm going to line up and play anybody. I had guys call me from all over and, hey, let's set up a date. Let's play.
Well, and the bottom line is, you talk about who you played, who you haven't played. Bottom line is it's going to be settled right out here. In about an hour, we're going to get things kicked off. And that's going to decide things. It's not decided on paper. Tim was talking about that. On paper, we shouldn't have won Piasa Southwestern that year.
Yeah.
And but it's settled out there, not on paper, not in the community chats and things like that. It's still settled on the football field.
And the big thing is that when you do that, when they set this up, 9-0 always plays 5-4, blah blah blah, and hey, draw out of a hat. Let's just see what you got, and. I understand. Everybody understands why they rate them, but the big thing is that when teams play good teams and they come in with a 6-3 or a 5-4 record, they're tested. And you look at like what happened with us in 98, they're falling back. 98 was apples and oranges because that was a 6-class system. Right now we're in an 8-class system.
Right.
And to me, I'm too much old school, which I wish it was still a 6-class system. I really liked the 6-class system.
Well, and you hit there, you guys were in playoff mode starting at week 4 that year.
Yeah.
Because you had to win out. 6-3, 5-4 did not get you in back then.
No.
You had to be 6-3, and there was not a guarantee that you were going to make it at 6-3 all the time.
I remember, I think it was either 2000 or 2001, we went up to Rock Ridge, and we had to win to be 6-3. We beat Rock Ridge. We go 6-3. Saturday morning, I get a phone call, and I can't remember if it was the AD or if it was the IHSA. It might have been the IHSA that said that you are disqualified from the playoffs. And I'm like, well, what'd we do? Well, you didn't do anything. But Orion in week 1 had played an ineligible player, and they had to forfeit that win. So we were out. I mean, we still got the win, but it took that playoff point away, and we didn't get in.
Yeah, playoff points are a crazy thing, aren't they?
They are, but to me, they're good because if, I heard somebody speaking one time, well, they go off offensive point totals. No, they don't. They don't do anything like that. What it is it's the number of wins of your opponents. And I will tell you,
plus your wins.
Yes, plus your wins.
Right.
I will tell you, one of my last years, we had the most playoff points in the state. We ended up like 55 or 54. Wow.
That's a lot. Well,
that's good teams.
In the I8FA, the number 4 seeded team is 8-1, and they have 47 playoff points.
Yeah.
That's a lot of playoff points for an 8-1 team.
Yes.
I mean, in all honesty, that's a lot. They've played some really good teams.
Yes.
To get 47 playoff points.
When you look at that playoff point deal, and in all honesty, that playoff point deal, in my mind, should come into the rankings of where you're going to be seated at. But it's always, the 9-0s, the 8-1s, the 7-2s, the 6-3s, 5-4s, and there for a while they were doing it geographically. So it might have been 2 very good teams might have been playing one another, but now it's spread all over the state. I mean, I've been from one end to the other of this state traveling on a bus. So,
how many times did you take a charter bus?
We did quite a bit. In the playoffs we did, but there were also times that we didn't. And what people don't understand about athletics is that football especially is that you can take a basketball team and you can throw them in a minibus, which almost rides as nice as a charter bus. Right. But football wise, you got big guys, you got guys that want to be comfortable on the bus and stuff, and you're toting 50, 60, 70 guys around.
And a lot of equipment to go along with it.
Exactly. And you can get on one charter and you can go down the road. We took charters, I can't remember exactly. I think it was over 80 miles or something like that at the AD at the time had something mixed up. But, it's a big thing. And I was always one of those, and anybody that played for me knows that, hey, there was no earrings on the field. There was no face paint on the field. You wore white socks, and if you didn't have white socks, you better get your ankles taped because you weren't playing. And these were, I heard Deion Sanders talking about that the other day, and I said, man, look at my list of rules, and that was it. But my thought process was when you stepped off that chartered bus, your chest was a little bit puffed out, and wherever you were going, those kids were like, wow. They're on a charter bus. They must be pretty good.
Yeah, I was talking to a parent who was talking about wrestling's coming up, and they have to go to the south of the Quad Cities on a Tuesday night. And they said, that's such a long drive on a school night. The old Olympic Conference days, that was every night, right?
Yeah. Hey, the places that we would go, Orion,
Sherrard,
Rock Ridge,
Lido, those places. And we went Tuesday night. I mean, when you were playing baseball, softball, wrestling, basketball, volleyball, you made those trips during the week.
Or JV football.
Yeah, JV football was also done on Monday nights. Well, actually, freshman football was because we always played prelims. And, one of those things about the prelims, I really liked them because, it was good that you could always watch the game, because there were some nights when the JVs play on Monday, I couldn't make the games because we were here practicing.
Right, and you're 2 hours away for a Monday night JV game.
I wasn't driving to Bushnell or somewhere, so that was a big thing. So the games were played beforehand, but on the flip side of that, we had a quarter rule. You could only play so many quarters a night, and.
They used to have that in basketball too, but they took that away in basketball.
Yes.
Also.
But this was a conference rule, Olympic conference rule, and non-conference you play 8 quarters a night. I had guys that played that many quarters.
Right.
And I'm not saying we were abusing the kids. What I'm saying is that you might have a sophomore that plays on the kickoff team. Well, he might get in 4 plays in a varsity ball game, or kickoff return, or something where it's not like he's starting on both ball games.
Right.
And that times have changed. When you started, how many kids did you have? When you first coached here, how many kids were on your team? Do you have any idea?
I'll tell you, there's a guy standing right there. I would probably say 80. Yeah. We were. I know. Joe Molden was the head coach before me, and Joe's goal was to always have 100 out. And, I mean, the field house has been remodeled and stuff, but our old one, there were many, many years where we'd have 45 to 50 varsity guys. I mean, just juniors and seniors.
Right.
So,
that's 10 to 15 more than they have in all 4 classes now.
Yeah. Yeah, and, freshman-wise, I think when I came here, freshmen were still dressing in the high school because we would have 20 to 30 sophomores in the locker room. And, the biggest thing is if the coach brought your helmet up and you were dressing in the varsity locker room.
I have to tell you, I'm disappointed right now. I'm disappointed. Our next guy – completely lied to me. I was told there was going to be a letter jacket involved, and he's not wearing his letter jacket. We'll have to discuss this when he comes on. You know that guy. He played some pretty good football for you back in the day, didn't he?
That guy, he stayed at my house a bunch. We go way back. But I will tell you that he probably didn't want to draw a lot of attention to himself because he would probably have a little jingling going on it.
all the medals and letters.
All the medals, yep.
And all the stuff that goes on it. He had some success on a couple different levels, didn't he?
I'm surprised that he's even here. He should be still sitting in a tree stand somewhere.
That's probably the reason. That's probably the reason why he's not in his letter jacket. It's probably what he wore to the tree stand. Yeah. Well, Kelly, I appreciate you stopping by. You're doing the game with Justice tonight.
Yep.
We had Justice on earlier, so we had both of you on tonight. What's your take on the game?
You're about the
100th person.
Oh, Lord.
Everybody's asked me too, so that's I'm returning the favor.
A bunch of them, I guess, and this is something we talked about early, is that I don't know how Macomb is going to react because they haven't been behind.
Right.
That's something that you got to look at. But the biggest thing is that Quincy Notre Dame physically are going to be some of the hardest hitting team that they've played all year long. How do we react to that? The other thing is that Macomb is going it's going to be this is a simple way to say it. It's going to be a ball control game. I think if QND keeps the ball away from Macomb, that's going to be their best thing, because we all know Macomb has weapons that can score at any point. And on the flip side of that, has Macomb faced a defense as good as probably what QND is going to put on the field as far as X's and O's and stunt packages and, that type of stuff.
So my one thing that I've mentioned to people, everybody's like, they haven't played a whole game. Are they going to be in shape? they're probably the healthiest team in 4A right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're absolutely right.
There is something to be said about like that, right? I
Yes.
mean, you come in healthy, not as bruised up and not as beat up as the other teams because you haven't had to play as much. Now, you do have to be in a good enough shape to get to the end of the game now, but you're healthier coming in.
Yeah, and that's a very huge. But I will tell you, as a player, as a coach, it's game time now. You can throw that crap out the window, because if
the bruises and the stuff.
No, the bruises and being in the shape thing, because I'm going to go as hard as I can
for as long as you can.
For as long as I can, and that's what it's going to be.
And the adrenaline's going to make that as long as you can a lot longer,
yes,
right?
that adrenaline is going to be rolling. And, you know, the big thing is I guess, like we talked about, who scores first and who controls the ball. If you take and you pay attention to ball control, I think that's going to determine the game.
All right.
So,
Kelly, I'm going to let you get out of here because I know Justice is going on at 6:30. We're ending at 6:30. Justice is going on at 6:30, and then we'll be on at 6:45. So,
hey,
thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for skipping a race to be here tonight.
Well, I was thinking about going to Atomic tonight, but the guys didn't go. So,
all right, we'll be back.
And that's in Ohio.
Yes, we'll be back in just a few minutes.
At Western Illinois University, leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there is limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
MTC Communications is building a high-speed fiber network in our community, and we're putting priority on the areas with the greatest interest. That means we need your input to let us know you want us to build fiber in your area first. Experience the speed and convenience of fiber internet by visiting our special website and registering. Let us know you want fiber internet today, and make your voice heard.
Well, I've always had an interest in the medical field, and then growing up, I actually went through physical therapy myself for an injury, and that got me back to playing my sports and the activities that I loved. So seeing that firsthand, I got to see how much physical therapy could really benefit others.
And welcome back. The guy we were giving such a hard time to, Kurt Myers, is alongside, and I was totally looking forward to the letter jacket.
Yeah, I just didn't have time to dig it out. Our house is kind of in a work in progress right now, so I couldn't get down and get it dug out.
Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate you coming down here tonight and coming on board. You're the new timeout sponsor for the rest of the postseason. So what do you got going on?
I'm busy right now. I'm still a full-time sergeant with the Department of Corrections, and I've just started this land company, so we're selling land, timber tillable, recreational ground, stuff like that. So I'm swamped.
Well, that's a good problem to have, isn't it?
It is.
Now, have you got to get in a tree stand at all?
A few times. Yeah, I went last night and had probably one of the top 5 nights I've had in the stand, just as far as activity. It was a good night.
So pretty big night for the Bombers tonight.
Yes, it is.
Good to see them back in this position, isn't it?
It is. It's been I feel like it's been a long time coming for us. We've been in and out of it, but we've got a pretty good team. I feel like tonight's going to be the test.
So you've been on some pretty good football teams. You've been were you actually a state champion wrestler?
Yep.
I thought you were. And so you're a 2-time state champion wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Does this first game of the playoffs match any of that feeling, or does it get bigger as you go along? Or
there's definitely a stair-step effect. You know, you're still riding out the regular season, your first week. Obviously, emotions are high because you lose, you're done. So it is a graduated feeling getting into this first round, but you got to keep your composure and execute your plays and just keep trucking.
Well, Coach Sears was here. You obviously dealt a
Yeah.
lot with him through the years, and of course Tanner Horl dealt with him and his dad Steve through the years. As you watch some of these games, do you see any of those footprints in what Tanner's doing?
I do. We didn't run the spread a lot. You know, we had Davis Hendrickson, and in my underclassmen years, we had Myers Hendrickson and those guys, and they were heavy run. And we had good quarterbacks, but we didn't have the wide receiver crew, I guess you would say, that these guys have. And these wide receivers are impressive. You know, they can get down the field, they can cover ground. High school football, I feel like, especially 4A, the pass defense is the biggest thing. You know, you get a couple guys in 4A that can run, it's hard to cover them.
Right.
So.
Well, and that's a good thing. I think, you know, I was talking to Tim Biagini while Dwayne was talking with Justice. There's a lot of weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I got an idea what I think QND is going to try and shut down, but if you try and shut down the passing game, you got Max Reiner running the ball. So, you know, that's something we haven't seen. I mean, we've seen it, but not maybe to this extent out of Macomb teams in the past, that they were a little heavier on the runs. I know Coach Sears loves to run the football, but this team is multidimensional on offense.
Mm-hmm. And I know QND has always been a team that they're going to come hit you.
Yep.
I think I heard Coach Sears say that. They're going to be physical. I don't know that we've met that yet this year. So, you know, the first time a couple of these guys get punched in the mouth, we're going to figure out what they've actually got.
Now, you were a linebacker, right?
Correct.
Max Reiner and Ethan Ladd do some of the best form tackling I see anybody do. And I was going to say, everybody that says that says it's because of wrestling.
Yep.
Do you agree?
It's a double leg takedowns, all it is. And
so
that's where we spend most of our time as wrestlers is double leg takedowns.
And it's a big hit. I mean, they can lay the wood to some kids.
You learn how to lower your level and keep your balance. You can knock some people down. It's tough.
Now, Quincy Notre Dame's bringing a running back, a big guy, fast, strong. Does your mindset change any with at a linebacker position, knowing that's going to be what's coming through the hole at you?
Don't hit him high. You know, he'll drag you a mile, you know, so get down, hit him at the knees. A couple of those times, you know, you upend him a few times, he's going to get sore pretty quick. So just hit him below the waist and take him down.
You know, I can't be here and not talk about wrestling.
Right.
You know, I've never actually covered a wrestling meet. All the years I worked at the Macomb Journal, Shelby always did the wrestling. I never covered any of the wrestling meets. You're going to help us broadcast some wrestling meets this year. You're going to sponsor the pins.
Yep.
So hopefully there's a lot of them, right?
Hopefully. Yeah. Right.
And they're all for Macomb, of course.
Right.
What can people expect to see out of our coverage? I mean, obviously we're going to start with one camera. We might go to two. But what can they expect to see? You know, you talk about how some of it translates to football. What can the football fan watch and expect to see on the wrestling mat?
On the football side of things and how it correlates, I guess, is as far as wrestling goes, that's where your balance comes from. I mean, I'm not the fastest guy. I had good balance, and it was all credited to wrestling. And you might spend, you know, a few minutes on one leg per match, so you got to figure that stuff out in a hurry. And yeah, balance, changing your levels, just being physical, you know, and learning how to tie up all that aggression you have and just delivering it to a different person, you know, legally.
Yeah.
You know,
key there is legally, right?
Legally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Ethan and Max are both state qualifiers, right?
Correct.
Sure, being able to broadcast them and watch them throughout the years probably pretty exciting for you. Is it fun to see these kids continue a program that you really were a big part of really getting recognized?
Absolutely. I give a lot of the credit to the Macomb Little Bombers. You know, that's where my class and that big, I think we were Elite 8 wrestling team, that's where we all started, you know. So you get your foundation set and get going. It's fun to watch the kids come up and, you know, state qualifiers. And I actually went in and talked to them last year and rolled around with Ethan a little bit, and it was a good time.
How sore were you the next day?
Wasn't too bad. I didn't get in there too much. Just a little tip, you know, showing some tips here and there what to do and just stuff like that.
You lost any of that stuff? Is that stuff, you did it for so long, is it still ingrained in your head?
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I still watch a match, you know, on TV, and somebody will take a shot and I'll flinch, you know. So you never lose it. You may lose the reflex, a little bit, and obviously your flexibility. But once you get that mindset, it's in you forever.
Tell us the name of your business before we let you go, and where your area is.
So I cover 8 counties from Quincy to Macomb to just south of Rock Island, and I am Base Camp Country Real Estate.
So if you got some, you really, I think, would like to focus on the timberland and stuff like that, right? For hunting purposes and stuff like that.
Hunting ground, tillable ground, farmable, stuff like that. I've been getting into the country living stuff, and it's nice to get into that. You can get a house with some acreage, and there's a lot of people seeking that. So
it's getting pretty dark out here.
It is.
Our camera is about losing its adjustability, so we're going to take our last break of the evening, and we'll be back for a final wrap-up here from the Macomb High School, as we're just about a half hour away from QND and Macomb in the Class 4A playoffs for IHSA. We'll be back in about 1 minute.
I chose the MDH OBGYN group because I've heard wonderful things about Dr. Smith. And upon entering the office, I really got along with everybody and got a warm feeling. The staff is warm and inviting and welcoming. It's a small community, so it's a really nice hospital to have here in the rural area. I continue to choose MDH because of the relationships I have. I really enjoy everybody here.
And welcome back for the final time here to Macomb High School. Dwayne Hulett, Chris Frankhauser going to end things here. Bomber Sportnet on Facebook. Kelly Sears and Justice Keane going to come on at 6:30. You can find them on Facebook. Chris and I are going to drop stuff here real quick.
Right.
And we'll be up and getting them ready to go live from the broadcast booth of sorts at about 6:45. It may be 6:50 before we get up there. But, Chris, last minute or two of the show here. What's your expectations of the game?
Bomber win, first of all. I know that's what the Bomber faithful wants to hear. I think the key to the game, like Kelly said, is going to be who controls the ball. If Quincy Notre Dame can keep that Bomber defense on the field and keep the Bomber offense on the field, I think that's going to be the Raiders' game plan. Macomb's going to, you've seen Macomb play all year. They have the capability of eating up clock on offense, and they have the ability to do a quick strike. I think the big key for the Bombers is this is going to be a test like they have not seen this year, and the key is going to be if the Bombers get down, how do they respond? They've not been down.
They've been down for just over a minute.
The entire season. So that's going to, I think, be a key to the game for the Bombers tonight.
Well, I've told everybody I think the Bombers win by 10. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. The thing that I think QND is going to want to keep the defense on the field. There's no doubt about that. Where I get concerned about that theory is if the Bombers if that's able to happen by QND, the quick strike offense of the Bombers becomes even more of a hindrance a little bit, because then QND gets back and wears the defense out. I think if QND finds a way to grind out possessions and control the ball, the Bombers need to find a way to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying they need to take 8 minutes or 9 minutes on a drive, but instead of taking 1, they want to take 4 minutes. And because you want to give your defense a little bit of a rest, especially on the offensive defensive lines where they switch out some guys. Right. So that's my take on it. If the Bombers can do that, can control the offensive side of the ball, I feel like the defense can make things happen. I believe that the Bomber defense is underrated. I believe that they can respond. They have very good linebackers. They have a good defensive line. QND, of course, brings everything to the table as well. This is going to be a great contest, and I'm not going to lie to you. I think the Bombers will win by 10, but it might be 17-10, or it might be 54-44.
40-something.
And that's the thing that I don't know what to expect. I don't know, because the Bomber offense can score like they can, I just don't know what to expect.
Right, and I think a key thing, too, that Kurt was talking about, we've got to wrap up. And you said this year, with the Bombers thus far, that's something that they, you see Ladd and company on defense. They've done a good job of wrapping up, and they've got to do that with his running back from QND. Hit him low, wrap him up. He can't be breaking tackles and make the third, fourth, or fifth guy actually bring him down.
Well, that's going to do it for our pregame show here live from Macomb High School. Chris Frankhauser, I'm Dwayne Hulett. We'll be up in the booth at our Hulett PubliPro LLC YouTube channel in just a little bit. Thanks for joining us tonight. Enjoy the game either on our YouTube channel or on Facebook with Justice Keane. Turn our video on and listen to Justice and Kelly if you want to. Listen to Chris and I if you want to. We just want you to be on there watching.
Yep.
If you can't be here. If you can be here, you got a half hour to get here yet. Get here. It's going to be a lot of fun. There are tons of people already here, and they're still filing in.
Electric.
So that'll do it. Live from Macomb High School, we'll be back with Game Time coverage a little bit later on Hulett PubliPro LLC. You've been watching TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH.